The future is a concept. It doesn't exist. There is no such thing as tomorrow. There never will be, because time is always now. That's one of the things we discover when we stop talking to ourselves and stop thinking. We find there is only present, only an eternal now.
The meaning of life is just to be alive. It is so plain and so obvious and so simple. And yet everybody rushes around in a great panic, as if it were necessary to achieve something beyond themselves.
Advice. I don't have advice. Stop aspiring and start writing. If you're writing, you're a writer. Write like you're a goddamn death row inmate and the governor is out of the country and there's no chance for a pardon. Write like you're clinging to the edge of a cliff, white knuckles on your last breath. And you've got just one last thing to say, like you're a bird flying over us. And you can see everything, and please, for God's sake, tell us something that will save us from ourselves. Take a deep breath and tell us your deepest, darkest secrets so we can wipe our brow and know that we're not alone. Write like you have a message from the king. Or don't. Who knows? Maybe you're one of the lucky ones who doesn't have to.
We are living in a culture entirely hypnotized by the illusion of time, in which the so-called present moment is felt as nothing but an infinitesimal hairline between an all-powerfully causative past and an absorbingly important future. We have no present. Our consciousness is almost completely preoccupied with memory and expectation. We do not realize that there never was, is, nor will be any other experience than present experience. We are therefore out of touch with reality. We confuse the world as talked about, described, and measured with the world which actually is. We are sick with a fascination for the useful tools of names and numbers, of symbols, signs, conceptions.
Jesus Christ knew he was God. So wake up and find out eventually who you really are. In our culture, of course, they'll say you're crazy and you're blasphemous. And they'll either put you in jail or in a nut house, which is pretty much the same thing. However, if you wake up in India and tell your friends and relations, "My goodness, I've just discovered that I'm God," they'll laugh and say, "Oh, congratulations. At last, you found out." Tomorrow and plans for tomorrow can have no significance at all, unless you are in full contact with the reality of the present. Since it is in the present, and only in the present that you live. There is no other reality than present reality, so that even if one were to live for endless ages, to live for the future would be to miss the point everlastingly. It's like you took a bottle of ink and you threw it at a wall. Smash, and all that ink spread. And in the middle it's dense, isn't it? And as it gets out on the edge, the little droplets get finer and finer and make more complicated patterns, see? So in the same way, there was a big bang at the beginning of things and it spread. And you and I, sitting here in this room, as complicated human beings, are way, way out on the fringe of that bang. We are the complicated little patterns on the end of it. Very interesting. But so we define ourselves as being only that. If you think that you are only inside your skin, you define yourself as one very complicated little curly, way out on the edge of that explosion, way out in space, and way out in time. Billions of years ago, you were a big bang, but now you're a complicated human being. And then we cut ourselves off and don't feel that we're still the Big Bang. But you are. Depends how you define yourself. You are actually, if this is the way things started, if there was a Big Bang in the beginning, you're not something that's a result of the Big Bang. You're not something that is a sort of puppet on the end of the process. You are still the process. You are the Big Bang, the original force of the universe, coming on as whoever you are. When I meet you, I see not just what you define yourself as, Mr. So-and-so, Miss So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so. I see every one of you as the primordial energy of the universe coming on at me in this particular way. I know I'm that too. And I did. But we've learned to define ourselves as separate from it. We seldom realize, for example, that our most private thoughts and emotions are not actually our own. For we think in terms of languages and images, which we did not invent, but which were given to us by our society. We copy emotional reactions from our parents, learning from them that excrement is supposed to have a disgusting smell, and that vomiting is supposed to be an unpleasant sensation. The dread of death is also learned from their anxieties about sickness and from their attitudes to funerals and corpses. Our social environment has this power just because we do not exist apart from a society. Society is our extended mind and body. Yet the very society from which the individual is inseparable is using its whole irresistible force to persuade the individual that he is indeed separate. Society as we now know it is therefore playing a game with self-contradictory rules. We could say that meditation doesn't have a reason or doesn't have a purpose. In this respect, it's unlike almost all other things we do, except perhaps making music and dancing. When we make music, we don't do it in order to reach a certain point, such as the end of the composition. If that were the purpose of music, then obviously the fastest players would be the best. Also, when we are dancing, we are not aiming to arrive at a particular place on the floor as in a journey. When we dance, the journey itself is the point. As when we play music, the playing itself is the point. And exactly the same thing is true in meditation. Meditation is the discovery that the point of life is always arrived at in the immediate moment. For man seems to be unable to live without myth, without the belief that the routine and drudgery, the pain and fear of this life have some meaning and goal in the future. At once new myths come into being, political and economic myths with extravagant promises of the best of futures in the present world. These myths give the individual a certain sense of meaning by making him part of a vast social effort in which he loses something of his own emptiness and loneliness. Yet the very violence of these political religions betrays the anxiety beneath them For they are but men huddling together and shouting to give themselves courage in the dark.
We must abandon completely the notion of blaming the past for any kind of situation we're in, and reverse our thinking and see that the past always flows back from the present, that now is the creative point of life. So you see, it's like the idea of forgiving somebody. You change the meaning of the past by doing that. Also, watch the flow of music. The melody as it's expressed is changed by notes that come later. Just as the meaning of a sentence. You wait till later to find out what the sentence means. The present is always changing the past. This state of affairs is known technically as the double bind. A person is put in a double bind by a command or request which contains a concealed contradiction. This is a damned if you do, and damned if you don't situation which arises constantly in human, and especially family, relations. The social double-bind game can be phrased in several ways,
The first rule of this game is that it is not a game. Everyone must play. You must love us. You must go on living. Be yourself, but play a consistent and acceptable role. Control yourself and be natural. Try to be sincere. Essentially, this game is a demand for spontaneous behavior of certain kinds, living, loving, being natural or sincere. All these are spontaneous forms of behavior. They happen of themselves, like digesting food or growing hair. As soon as they are forced, they acquire that unnatural, contrived and phony atmosphere which everyone deplores. Weak and scentless like forced flowers, and tasteless like forced fruit. Life and love generate effort, but effort will not generate them faith in life, in other people, and in oneself. Is the attitude of allowing the spontaneous to be spontaneous in its own way and in its own time.
This state of affairs is known technically as the double bind. A person is put in a double bind by a command or request which contains a concealed contradiction. This is a damned if you do, and damned if you don't situation which arises constantly in human, and especially family, relations. The social double-bind game can be phrased in several ways. The first rule of this game is that it is not a game. Everyone must play. You must love us. You must go on living. Be yourself, but play a consistent and acceptable role. Control yourself and be natural. Try to be sincere. Essentially, this game is a demand for spontaneous behavior of certain kinds, living, loving, being natural, or sincere. All these are spontaneous forms of behavior. They happen in themselves, like digesting food or growing hair. As soon as they are forced, they acquire that unnatural, contrived, and phony atmosphere which everyone deplores. Weak and scentless like forced flowers, and tasteless like forced fruit. Life and love generate effort, but effort will not generate them faith. In life, in other people, and in oneself is the attitude of allowing the spontaneous to be spontaneous in its own way and in its own time. Although the rhythm of the waves beats a kind of time, it is not clock or calendar time.
It has no urgency. It happens to be timeless time. I know that I am listening to a rhythm which has been just the same for millions of years, and it takes me out of a world of relentlessly ticking clocks. Clocks, for some reason or other, always seem to be marching. And as with armies, marching is never to anything but doom. But in the motion of waves, there is no marching rhythm. It harmonizes with our very breathing. It does not count our days. Its pulse is not in the stingy spirit of measuring, of marking out how much still remains. It is the breathing of eternity, like the god Brahma of Indian mythology, inhaling and exhaling, manifesting and dissolving the worlds forever. As a mere conception, this might sound appallingly monotonous, until you come to listen to the breaking and washing of waves.